It's like there's a person who's my person.
Yeah.
And for me, I think it's when I initially become attracted to somebody who's unavailable, married or otherwise, it's because I know, oh, see, there's a boundary here, and I know I'm not going to get hurt, which I prove myself wrong every time to a varying degree. This last person that I was just talking about was more about, oh, I saw it coming like a freight train. And I was like, oh, okay, time out. I super like you, and we got to stop right now.
And yet, deer in the headlights.
And I'm, so I don't know if that's a good thing either, because now it's become very cerebral for me, right? Like, it's like, I'm like, it's one of those choose your own ending type of stories where you like, if you see this scenario and you're like, okay, I'm going to go this direction, this scenario. And it's like, at what point do I just give up and be like swept up in all of it, the good and the potential ending, hurt, whatever. I don't know. That was a long way to say that. I don't know if it was fear of commitment as opposed to just fear of getting hurt.
Well, it's interesting that you talk about being cerebral. I would say that's definitely where I'm at right now, and from a place of protection. So you're talking about, I see the boundary, I see, potential red flag or what have you, that, there's just, I don't allow myself the space right now to just be my loosey-goosey self and just follow wherever love takes me. I'm very cerebral about it. And it's like, nope. And it's just thinking too much, but that's a protection mechanism right now.
But how does it make you feel? Like, do you feel half of a person because of it? Because I do.
Really?
I do feel like when I can tell when I put those boundaries up or when I put those protections up, I'm doing it to protect myself and my heart, and knowing that all the downside that comes with the hurt. I've just experienced that in the last 3 years, and it almost killed me. But I do feel half of a person. I feel
how so?
Like there's an entire part of me that is very open and loving and free and emotional and all the feels, good and bad, and that those doors are closed.
So can I try this?
Take it, Andy.
It pains me to hear you say I feel like half a person, because you realize even if you found another partner who is at least, this person completes me.
He had me on hello.
Yeah, that says to me like, you need two to feel like you're one. That means that you're actually asking somebody else to fill in those gaps.
No, yes, I think it sounds
so
that way,
say,
but that's
I
not
feel like
how
half a person, I don't know if that's really, I think you feel lonely, or you feel like there's parts of you that would be more satiated because the things about you is that you want to share that with somebody. And I've gotten lucky that I've developed quite the crew of people around me that have varying levels of intimacy with me, that are friends from a distance, friends locally, friends that are more like you just run into each other and it's always a pleasant thing and you intend to hang out, but your schedules don't work out, so you just kind of catch up with each other. But they know things about me, or they know details about me, and it makes me feel more comfortable in my kind of hermit nature because I have this community of people that I can still be around. And I get what you mean when you say if I feel like half a person. It's loneliness.
I agree, because I get what you're saying and what Andy's saying, because in all transparency, Andy and I used to date. And we don't anymore, but he is absolutely one of my people. Yeah. So in that way, there's an intimacy there that I may have gotten or once gotten from a relationship that I'm not missing now. I mean, it doesn't mean that there isn't room for somebody else to come in my life and be that person. But I have friendships that really fulfill some of those things that I was looking for in a romantic partner.
And on that too, like I've had issues having partners who are uncomfortable with the fact that I have deep relationships with other people, because then they feel like, well, I should be somebody who knows all the things about you. It's like, well, you will if you stick around long enough. Like it all makes sense. But I understand what that means when there's a priority of commitment, and I see it as, yes, there's somebody, when I was married, it was like, this is somebody that I'm living with and for, and we're together, but we were both having separate lives. And when we both got to a decision point where this isn't working for us anymore, she had already kind of figured out something that she wanted to happen in her life. So she pursued that. And it wasn't a matter of with my support or my blessing. It was like, well, you're just going to take the adult decision and carry forth with what you think is important. And she's now with another person and remarried and super happy, and that worked out. It wouldn't have worked out if we would have stayed together. That she would not have had success in that relationship because we would have forced something to work so long that we wouldn't have been able to adult breakup. And we were trying to have kids and things, and that would have been a more complicated of a thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think that I just feel like there's a part of me, like, and maybe it's 1/3 and not 1/2. Either way, like I'm picturing in my head that, I don't know if this is the right analogy, but like the calendar, the Christmas calendar that where
Advent calendar?
Yes, the Advent calendar. Clearly I'm super religious. Where you open, like there's something behind every door.
I'm only into the chocolate behind the doors. Okay.
I can feel like there's I have a bunch of doors of stuff, and I do have, and I'm starting to appreciate more in the last couple of years, especially around you guys, the value of certain members of my world and what they bring. And so I'm less, which is the good thing of that is there's less responsibility for my romantic partner now to fulfill all of these needs of mine, right? But there is still that one door that feels like I can't open it, and it makes me feel less than complete, right? Not because I need somebody, but because I need to emote a certain thing.
Is it possible that nobody's ever opened that door? And that way, because there's from my mind, there's two things there that I have had experiences and relationships that have never been replicated by subsequent partners. And it sometimes became like, oh, but I missed this. Mm-hmm. And I haven't had that with somebody since. But it's not that. It's that with that person, this is what I felt. And it, quite frankly, had a lot to do with where I was in my life at the time. Mm-hmm. And those experiences were really important and special. And then you get older and you meet somebody and you realize things you didn't know that you liked, and you get kind of into, they're usually like hobbies and things, but still like they're activities, and like you get to spend time together doing something that is inconsequential, but you really enjoy. And they're little routines that start meaning more and more things. And it's possible that you have, on the one hand, an imaginary door with imaginary chocolate. And you're like, I can't wait for that right person to just burst through that door with that right thing, and it's all going to fall complete. That's a very high expectation because you don't even know what it is. If it was something like, I need somebody who has a passport ready to go and it can just, within 6 weeks, we can be in somewhere else for an extended period of time, that's pretty defined. Mm-hmm. And that's an easy thing to filter out for. But if it's some door, I just don't know what it is, you got to know what it is before
I
you
do
go
know
look
what
for
it is. And also,
okay. Well, then
the
are you
hard
willing to
part
voice
is, yes, the hard part is like that door is directly tied to some of these other doors that are already open, right? So it's like, this sounds so very juvenile, but it's like there are all these things, like in my life, there have been relationships, and there's certain things from each relationship that if I could like build a picture of like this from this person and this, all of the cool things. You're totally
the first person who's
right?
ever said that.
But there's still the one door that is like, I can't, like, there are actually people in my life right now who really fill the bill in a lot of these areas, but none of them, and it is certainly a willingness on their part that is required to be able to open that last door. So it's that last little bit of like, gosh, you're this and this and this and this for me, but you still don't really want to, like this door, you just don't want to walk through that door.
That's just information.
Right. It is information. It's up to you to do something with that.
You get to decide ultimately.
Fuck both of you. I hate when you all have answers.
I think ultimately the one thing about adult dating, and it comes with all sorts of things. It comes with on the sex side. It comes on the dating side, the methodology of how you're meeting people and what you look for. Like before you were saying, oh, what if there's a 24-year-old that wants to go to an Italian restaurant? Like I would never. It's just not interesting to me to date somebody. Age, while it's just kind of a number, there is certain phases of life, and if that person had gone through a bunch of things by 24, maybe I'd be like, oh, I'm surprised you're only 24 and you've had these experiences. But it's really about life lesson. But anyway, whether it's about sex or dating or whatever, you become an adult where you have an element of risk that you're willing to take because you kind of know where things are going to go. There's not too many surprises left in life. Other than like the death part.
I'm
really, you've never been like top of the peak happy, and you've never been like bottom of the barrel sad. Like,
I've definitely been bottom of the barrel for sure.
I mean,
I don't know if I've ever
been
been like top of the peak.
Maybe what if her top of happy is something that she doesn't know that was the top, and that's what she's unhappy about?
I missed out.
Well, I mean, some of my top of the peak happy truly has been probably in some of my most deluded moments in my life, where I had no idea just like how checked out I was, but it was like, who cares? I'm fucking happy. But in hindsight, I'm like, oh, I probably wasn't so happy, but I'm glad I felt like it in the moment.
Yeah, at least you felt like it when it was happening. Oh, so I guess this conversation about going into, I'll be just specific, relationships that can't be committed because there's a marriage or something. Can you help me define the difference between... Oh, so we talked about this a little bit the other day. We didn't dive in. Like, I just want to understand, what is the difference between open marriage, polyamorous, or Joanna kind of defined it as polyamorous is like a big umbrella.
Andy has,
right?
like,
I just don't understand the definition.
Andy has a better ticket on it. I mean, and I have been peripheral to these types of relationships, but and have tried to embark at one point. But it hasn't been something that I've been successful at. So Andy has more.
So, polyamory is kind of like an umbrella. But before I get into like quote unquote definitions, these are all about adult relationships. And I think that we, especially as Americans, like to categorize things and like to put labels on things and then say, oh, it's not pure this because, that's not an authentic Western belt buckle. So you're not really a hipster, you're a whatever. So there's certain things. So these are just broad swaths. I think that polyamory could be best expressed as some form of adult relationships that involve romantic connection to multiple people. That could mean, in the examples before, there's people that I know that for whatever reason one person identifies as they're not interested in sex, and it's personal and it's a choice. They're not interested in sex, so their partner has been given the permission to pursue sex
period
only.
Or sex with them.
Sex period. It's just
it's not their thing.
Yeah. It's just, it's partly, I think that they would identify as like asexual, but that's kind of a misnomer.
So if you're in a relationship with Morrissey or something?
Everybody's in a relationship with Morrissey. But,
or so we wish.
Yeah. But the male partner is allowed to pursue casual sex with other people as long as there's no romantic commitment. So
only the male partner?
Because she's not interested in connecting. She feels that,
oh, you're talking about a particular couple.
Yeah, and so in that one, they would consider to be open or polyamorous because both adults have decided that it's okay for other sexual partners to come in, but within limitations and boundaries that are always respected. And
just defined by them, whatever their version of that is.
Yeah,
so
and then
maybe she wants to know, maybe she doesn't want to know. Okay.
So that's, the next one is called like DADT, which is don't ask, don't tell. And there are some people who are like, you do whatever you're going to do, but you don't bring it home in form of like transmitted diseases. You don't bring it home in sort of like, oops, I've got an extra kid now. Or you don't bring it home in the sense of this is who this is, and this, you don't mix the people together. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes you find that in relatively tight communities where maybe it would hurt their, I don't know, church
social
group
standing,
or their social group, or because otherwise just understanding that they're having sex with other people would cause other relationship issues, not amongst the married couple or the committed couple. And they've decided that for whatever reason their sexual appetites differ enough, but they don't want to know about it. And either partner's like, I don't want to know what you're doing. I just want to know that you're being careful and you're being kind and you're being healthy. So that's similar to where we've all seen the story where people are like just cheating and lying about it, and then they have to come up with other lies to lie about the lies, and then they're like spending money or whatever to hide from people, and it becomes
that movie well.
Yeah, exactly. So it just becomes this whole complicated thing where it's all based off of the fact of I want something, but I don't want to upset somebody, but I also don't want to admit to them and own up to my own personality. So it's a lot of immaturity and all that kind of crap. Also in polyamory, there might be people who decide that they just want small, insignificant relationships on the side, but are casual and ongoing. So there's multiple ones because they're just people that they get certain things from. That can get into the world of like kink, where you're with somebody who, the way that I describe it is so we'll go back to Italian food. There's a particular thing that like, or actually we'll do it with dessert. So there's a particular like chocolate cake that you love.